October 9th, 2024. We have completed week 5. We're heading into week 6, and this is fantasy football.
Reality.
That's right. And I'm here with my co-host, Scott Berman, The Nation 007 on Instagram. I am Greg Romero Wilson, and we're here. We're here to do our favorite thing, which is chop it up about fantasy football. We hit a lot of great things last week. I wish we had the time and the resources to do the recap show and the preview show, but unfortunately, we barely have enough time to get out this one show week. So let's just jump right into the major storylines heading into week 6. And I think for us in fantasy football, which I think every league has one guy that goes through this, sort of like every year there's one guy who everybody has their best game against him. You know, yeah. So he just can't, that happened. And you're having one of those seasons where everything you touch turns to shit. I mean, just your IR list, you have the most pedigreed IR of any team in the league by far.
Still 4-1.
Still 4-1. Amazing.
Yeah, should we go through it?
Yeah, let's go through it.
So if you remember our first episode, I was talking the walk, crowing about how smart I was to get Cooper Kupp. He gone.
And I believe you said in every league. I believe you said in every league. And then the next guy, you were also like almost every league.
Rashee Rice.
There we go.
Almost every league. And I was
every league.
Excited. Yep. He gone.
And now he gone.
He gone. I was like, all right, well, at least.
Yeah, and these guys aren't questionable. These guys aren't like day to day, week to week. Oh no, they are implanted on the IR. Those two.
No, they're not on the IR.
Rashee's for the season.
Rice is on the. Yeah, he's on the wire. Yeah,
he gone.
He gone. And then how about? I was like, oh, well, you know what? At least I was smart enough to get the number 1 wide receiver through 5 weeks. He is so big and strong. Nothing's going to hurt this guy.
Can't stop him.
Can't stop Nico Collins.
You know
who can stop Nico Collins? Nico Collins.
Yeah.
He outran his hamstring. At least he did it, scoring a 70-yard touchdown.
Yes.
Yeah,
and you saw him pull up, and you were just like, don't you?
No, I was in denial. I was like, oh, he's fine. He'll be fine. There's no way he's also IR. He gone. He gone. And then I was like, well, with Joe Flacco there, maybe Michael Pittman will come back and he'll do something. I got him as well, and it looks like he gone. He's doubtful, and that's never good. But I tell you what, without Joe Flacco, he's doubtful anyway. I mean, I hate to say it, but and now I'm worried. Guys, I'm worried. My number 1 overall pick was Saquon Barkley, so be careful.
Don't you shut your
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Look, it seems to be a curse that's limited to receivers.
And
in an incredible way. Michael Pittman now, I don't
know what I'm gonna do.
Nico Collins. So just 4. Think about that roster, though. Think about that construct. He has Saquon Barkley, and he gets Nico Collins, Rashee Rice,
Cooper
Kupp, and Nico, and just as insurance, Michael Pittman Jr. And the fantasy gods were like, no soup for you.
No, I got T. Higgins as well, and he was out the first couple of weeks as well.
Exactly, and he was a preemptive. He may be a preemptive Berman curse.
I don't know. It's not good. I'm nervous.
I'm going to stick with this being just a wide receiver bug. So it seems to be. Because 4 in a row. That seems pretty definitive. It's about your receivers.
My top 4. My first 4 off the board are all take off.
All IR. Oh my God.
That's sad.
Amazing.
All right.
As in I screwed. That was dumb. Sorry.
We can edit that.
Okay. No, you know what? We're keeping it.
Good. Own that shit.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Now, another storyline that has come to its conclusion. I am just glad the fever has broken on yet another case of Minshew mania.
Yeah.
is the mustache that hypnotic?
It is pretty hypnotic.
Because city after city keeps buying it. After he's monorail. What's that word? Minshew. Like he's just going. I put Minshew in Indianapolis, and every fucking city they buy. And the same thing happens. They try. Like, oh my god! And then week 4, they're like, all right, get back in there. They got the guy. Get him in.
Yeah, we're gonna take Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, over
that's
this
bad.
guy, dude.
It's bad. When that's you're like, yeah, let's go with that guy.
It's just no more Minshew mania. It's now the Minshew mirage. He is and if he gets another starting job, so many guys will be shooting themselves in the face. You know what?
Starting quarterback is a really hard job. And there's so few people that can do it. Even those who aren't good are still better than all the the backups. So he probably will. There's so many injuries.
I think there's something to just getting used to the pro level game that puts you miles ahead of just anybody who hasn't.
Exactly.
Once you've at least been in the fire and can stand it and be productive, they're willing to go with that over someone who just has never really experienced it, because that just means you're going to get your ass kicked for up to a full season to find out.
Absolutely. That's why they started Sam Darnold when they had J.J. McCarthy before he was hurt. They said he was going to start. Because they were going to get him.
Let him see the game. Let him get used to it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And
you know
finally,
what else came? Oh, you know what else came to an end? What else came to an end was Robert Saleh's career.
That was the next thing.
He gone. It's about time. He was never
J.E.T. shit.
Yeah. J.E.T. Rodgers.
But the problem was and is and has always been the offense, which he really isn't in charge of. He's the defense. The offense was always the offense coordinator. They brought in Hackett specifically for Aaron Rodgers, and you fire Saleh?
Yeah.
That makes zero sense. I know
it's a good point.
And last year, again, and I love the way Rodgers people think I have all this influence, and I don't. Bullshit. Because last year they wanted to go out and get another quarterback, but you were like, no, write it out with Zach Wilson. I mentor him. He's going to be great. So what did they do? They fucking wrote it out and got their asses handed to him week after week because of you, Rodgers, because you didn't want anyone to come in and actually start winning with this otherwise great team.
Yeah, do you think the Jets were targeting Alan Lazard?
Dude,
no. It was Rodgers. Have you seen the meme going around with the new interim head coach is Schmer and Schmodgers? And it's like it's Aaron Rodgers with a Groucho nose.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
The one I like is the one with it shows Aaron Rodgers and Saleh together. It's like when you see that hot single MILF on Tinder and you marry her, and then 18 months later she divorces you and keeps the house.
I haven't seen that one, but that's pretty brilliant. I love these guys who come up with this stuff.
And you know what, though? And also, remember the shove? Remember the shove? He tried to be cool with him after a touchdown, and Rodgers shoved him like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, that was weird.
And and he tried to paint it like, no, it's a thing we do. We shove each other. But you're, to the eye, every single person looking at it is like, he hates this fucker. This guy said some shit that he doesn't like, and he's like, don't be cool to me now. Okay, now that I'm scoring, too late to get on the Rodgers train. Like, that was the vibe. And now, I guess it wasn't just, no, we do that. No, you're a piece, he's a piece of shit. And the Jets deserve everything they're getting, just like
100%.
Cleveland deserves everything they're getting for the Deshaun Watson shit.
100%. Yep, exactly. There is one more big piece of news. I don't know if you've got it. Jacoby Brissett is on the bench, and they're going to start Drake May. This is very interesting. I don't know if you guys watched any of the preseason stuff. I'm pretty excited for Drake May. I know he's a rookie and whatever, but he looked kind of like he had something. Like he looked kind of special. I'm excited. We'll see what it is. But I mean, I think it's
Listen, I am also excited for the Texans defense playing against Drake May in his first fucking game. Just like I'm excited for the Bucs defense playing against Rattler, who apparently is going to start over there for the Saints. Yeah.
It's not that guy that came in?
No, they're going with Rattler, the rookie.
Rayner or whatever that kid that came in for like.
No, they're going with Rattler. Huh. They announced it.
Okay. Well, there's some news I missed. Interesting. Yeah. Spencer Rattler.
That's also news. Yeah, they're rolling with Rattler, their rookie. So wow. Listen, wasn't he a second rounder? I think he was like the 5th QB taken off the board.
God, how long ago? I mean, it's been so long. I forgot he.
I think it was this summer.
In the league.
Yeah, no, I think he's a rookie. So.
All right. Maybe I'm thinking anyway.
All right. So now let's talk
waiver
wire wins. Yeah. Who'd you get that you liked?
All right. Well, I'm extremely excited that I got Tank Dell in almost all my leagues because Nico's out.
Yeah.
And I know that it could be anything, but I mean, well, look, man. I'm hurting. I need.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
What about you?
I saw that and I was very excited about that too. I got Tolbert in a couple of leagues and I'm very excited about that. I think Tolbert he had defined himself as a credible wide receiver 2 in that game, in 100%. The spotlight with the pressure on to win the game, no time left, balls busted in the previous play, and that motherfucker pulled it down. I like what I saw. I'm rolling with the T-Bird.
Cool, man. What about did you get any Tank Bigsby still, or is it you missed your shot?
I missed out. He was only available in one league, and I didn't get it.
He was available in a league that I did get him in that league, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah,
and also really the Philly defense I was able to get.
Yeah,
as well, which I was pretty excited.
Yeah, they've got a great matchup this week, but I'm not super excited about them as a defense on the whole. But this week's matchup is great.
Yes. Did you go after any shares of Jalen Wright?
I did not.
In Miami.
I did not.
Interesting. I didn't either, but I'm a little like thinking like
kind of looking over the shoulder at him.
Yeah,
he's still out there.
Is he still single? Side eye.
Is he still single? I mean, this guy's great and all, but that guy. The problem with guys like Jalen Wright and Bigsby is roster space. Are they better or more dependable than who I've already got? And so in most instances, I'm like, I have, you know what I mean? It's a lateral move. It's a move for the move's sake almost. So,
Well, with Jalen though, I mean, look, his other 2 guys are like they take turns being injured.
No, that is very true, but Mostert looked really good in that last outing.
He did. So did Jalen. So I was like impressed. Anyway, so I'm giving him some side eye.
Give him a little look. I managed to grab Conklin. Conklin was still out there in one of my leagues, and I needed a tight end in that league this week, and I managed to pick up Conklin. I was pretty excited about that. I did pay a lot of fob for him though.
Okay,
I paid like $31. I paid like $31.
Yeah. That's you may have overbid. Did anybody else bid on him?
I couldn't see because it's in the ESPN app, but but I needed it. I needed because my other one is Kelsey, who's on vacation this week. Yeah.
On vacation.
So I also managed to pick up Evan Ingram in a couple of spots, which again, tight ends are really at a premium, and this is a guy that has proven himself to be incredibly dependable. I feel like that's been the problem, right? That's been, I think, the problem with Jacksonville so far is that Evan Ingram hasn't been there, and he needs him that much. If he needs him that much, I'll fucking play him.
I mean, look, if he could take Brenton Strange and make him, fantasy relevant, then imagine what he can do when Ingram comes back.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be great. They already showed that they've got a great chemistry. Ingram has always been one of those guys that should have been fantastic from Jump Street. And he was okay. He was pretty good his rookie year, but then he just kind of petered out and never really lived up to it. And then he's had this big resurgence since he's hooked up with Trevor.
Yep, absolutely.
They just got something going on. So that's a good pickup. It's
The
just when can he
defenses I
play?
got were the Bucks versus Saints and Texans versus Patriots. I'll take a defense playing a rook in his first game any day.
Nice. Yeah.
And you know what's weird? And also, I do picked up in one league, which if you're struggling at quarterback and just check to see if someone dropped Tua. Because I just was cruising around and I was like, wait, is Tua down there? Because, he's so far down the list because he's been on IR and he only scored a few points before he left. So he's way down there, but you'd be surprised. I couldn't believe it. And if you have an IR spot, he slots right into the IR.
Yeah, if you've got an IR spot, absolutely, you should have Tua on it. Yeah. I think.
And that's the thing. It was in a league with an IR spot. I guess they needed to put somebody else, the higher priority.
I had to drop him to make room for all of my wide receivers.
Maybe that's where I got him. Maybe I got him from you. Maybe that's
where I had no choice. I mean,
there was one that may have been the league where I found him.
It sucks.
And I'm like, fucking Tua? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it'll be a couple weeks before he can play. All right. What are we gonna do, man?
What are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do about Joe Flacco? How about that? What are we gonna do? I mean, the collective we. What do we do?
Dude, that guy should have mania, Flacco mania, wacko for Flacco. People should be wacko for Flacco.
Dude, we got to make shirts. I'll wear it.
Wacko for Flacco. For fuck's sake, yes.
Dude, he is so much better than most of the quarterbacks in the league. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so much more accurate. Josh Downs became relevant. Well, Pittman became relevant before he got hurt, and Alec Pierce again came out.
Again, this guy, he's the Rashid Shaheed of the Colts.
The Alec Pierce?
Yeah,
he is. He is when Richardson's there, but he's becoming more. With Flacco, he's more reliable. So the question, do you think that the Colts are going to just automatically put Richardson back in when he's healthy, or will they?
No, I wonder if. I don't know. Maybe they will. It depends on if they're like, we got to keep trying to develop this guy, or we got to win games.
Well, he's clearly the future, and Flacco's not.
But that's the question: is he the future? You've seen this 2 years in a row now. The guy can't stay on the field, and when he is on the field, he's incredibly inaccurate. At a certain point, you got to admit the experiment failed. The guy was an experiment to begin with. Everyone knew that going into it. Eyes wide open. They were like, but the raw talent, the arm, they hit the roof of the dome. I believe him. But, guess what? Guess what he can't hit? A fucking receiver. So, that's anything less than 70 yards away. Anything, it's like a guy that he's only farsighted. He just can't see anything up close.
Yeah.
He can't do it.
Maybe that's his problem. Maybe he needs some contacts or something.
Like Jameis Winston.
Oh my God. Speaking of which, I know, what are we going to do about Deshaun Watson? Do you think
they're not going to pay him $200 million to sit on the bench? They will let him get hurt, and then they'll sit him on the bench. But so long as he's healthy, they're going to nope, you will go out there and take those hits, son.
So do you think it's a good idea to stash Winston?
Not really. Not
yet, anyway?
Because who knows how long this is going to go on. And Winston isn't that great either, so... Mm-hmm. But
he's good for fantasy.
You know what they say, the game has to slow down for the quarterback. I don't think you can speed it up for Flacco. I think Flacco's slowed it down to just whatever the zone.
Did you see him rush for 19 yards?
No. Oh my God, I got to go look.
He rushed for 19 yards. I was like, what is happening? He didn't do that when he was winning the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. The game is slowed down to almost stop for him, to where he can run for 19 yards.
That's Neo just pulling bullets, out of there. It's amazing. He ran for 19 yards. What do you do? I got him, and it makes me wonder what I do with people like Josh Downs and Alec Pierce and You know, I'll be like,
unfortunately, it's kind of like a reset in time in terms of trying to figure out their track record. You know what I mean? Like, because the previous evidence doesn't count. It doesn't qualify towards judging what they're going to do now. So you got to kind of sit here and watch the next. Now, after this, you'll have 2 weeks. And then you'll be like, okay, so Alex Pierce is the real thing, or he's starting to develop, you know, but you definitely need a larger sample size. I mean, it's just complete reset with Flacco.
But it's everybody's better.
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
With it seems like the experts, the off-season experts that set our, you know, our lists of the draft people, you know, priority and the whole thing, 1 through 300. Here's your list. Here's how good they are. And it seems they're great at predicting wide receivers, so bad at running backs. All top 3 are total fucking dumpster fires right now. CMC is in Europe getting treated. Okay, he's not even in the country, motherfucker. I mean, he's bad now, but you know. Okay, and then Bijan Robinson. Everyone thought the pass game they were so run heavy that they couldn't get anywhere because all they did was play the run because they were never going to throw it. Now all they do is throw it, and they've abandoned the run. The opposite happened of what you wanted to have happen. And then Breece Hall, well, unfortunately, we all, Rodgers going to make him so good and everything. And now he looks like absolute garbage.
How did he go from being so good with Zach Wilson to so bad with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, you know, it's what's his name? Garrett Wilson. He said the quiet part out loud when he was like, we don't do anything. We're so vanilla. We don't do anything exotic. There's no movement. So it's like, oh, they're going to run. Oh, they're going to pass. Like when they can absolutely predict with certainty what you're going to do, makes it a little easier to slow you down.
Indeed. So your question is, what are we going to do about Bijan Robinson? Is that your question?
And Breece Hall, just about the way they predict these guys, because the one league where I abandoned that and went with Derrick Henry with pick 4 because I was like, nah, it's one. And look who's number 1, you know, because I ignored the rankings and went with the guy that I believed in, and that team is undefeated, and I'm number 1.
Well, as you said last episode, you've been with Derrick Henry for so long. You're not going to quit him now.
I've been with him for so long. I can't quit you now. Yeah. If there's one more dance, it's going to be with me.
Hey, I think it's awesome. I had Breece Hall on mine. What are we going to do with Jonathan Taylor? You know, I know that it's a mild high ankle sprain, whatever that means. And I went and picked up Trey Sermon in every league. And yes, he had a good fantasy number at the end because he fell into the end zone. But I watched that game and he was not good. No. He did not look good. And there was another guy who I've got later in the sleepers that I'll mention who looked much better than him. And so I don't know whether I should be even holding on to Trey Sermon at this point. You know, I've got Taylor in a few leagues. And I got Sermon in those leagues, but now I don't feel confident in him. And it's hard. There's not a lot of pivoting that I could do on the wire. And I'm not sure if I'm stuck in a situation where I've got a plan. It doesn't feel good. I don't know what to do.
I'll say this. Trey Sermon is in line for another one of those, you know, good games because it's a great matchup. Tennessee. So this is I think he could have another decent game. I think it's a decent matchup, and I think he could have a good game. And it looks like they are committed to him as the backup right now. He seems to really have the role. So, but I agree. But there's a reason he's number 2.
Now, he's also questionable, by the way. Ever since I picked him up,
of course. Please keep your curse to the wide receiver.
I'm trying. I'm trying to limit it, man.
What are we going to do about Roschon Johnson vulturing all of DeAndre Swift? It's like he does all the work, and they're like, great job. Roschon, go in there and fuck this bitch. Like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, he does all the work. He takes her out to dinner. He romances her down the field. He buys her flowers. He gets her all wet, and then he's like, "All right, Roshan, go ahead and fuck her. I'm all good." It's and then Roshan comes in and is like, "Oh, so good." Again, second time, Roshan. Yeah, get in here, Swift. Do it again. Like, fuck that guy, man.
Yeah. Roshan had, I think, 7 yards and 2 touchdowns. Last week it was ridiculous, man. It was wrong, and it shouldn't happen. And you're supposed to reward the guy. I love when they give like
yes, you're supposed
to blocks all the time or whatever. Like they'll give it to like Lipke or Juszczyk, or sometimes they give it to that guy and let him run it in. But the guy who got you down there, you're supposed to reward him with those goal line scores. I don't think they're doing.
And I can see where if you got to give him a play off, okay, that's the play where you try to roll out to the tight end, and then maybe that happens. But if you're going to run it again, you give it to you dance with the guy that brung you.
100%. You got to kneecap him.
Are we going to do about Najee Harris?
Okay. Spoiler alert. I'm going to give you one of my must starts right now, and it's Najee. I believe he's going to break 100 yards this week. Najee has been. Have you been watching him play?
Yeah, he played.
So it's not
against
efficient.
The Cowboys.
He did, and the Cowboys played surprisingly well. Their defense without any of their stars. I was impressed. Like even Troy said, that they were running around with some energy, and they looked like they looked a lot better than anyone expected. Okay, so but Najee is running strong. He always does, but I still think everybody else over there is hurt. Cordero's hurt, Jaylen Warren's hurt, and they're playing.
Look, the volume's there. He's still got 8 points. I'm not buying it. And Las Vegas has a good. They got Max Crosby. They got some good people on the line. I think you're getting another fucking 8 points out of him, but go for it. If you believe that, that's up to you then.
It's just this week, I really feel strongly that Najee is gonna do well this week.
As someone who has had Najee, I've been with Najee. I was though from the beginning because he had done so great in college at Alabama. I believed in him from the jump, and he has disappointed me so many times. I know how this story goes, and he will disappoint you again this week. I guarantee you. Not enough to make you drop him, but enough to make you want to fucking kill him.
Hey, I gotta. What are we gonna do?
Okay.
It sounds. I mean, this may stop me if you heard this one before, but. What are we going to do about Kyle Pitts? Because, he showed up.
You got to start it now. I'll tell you, I'll answer right now. You got to start it. He's on the waiver wire in one of our leagues.
Yes, I know. I've got a side eye on him. I know.
But then he put him on the pile of Najee Harris. Like I know this game. No, you've done this to me before, sir. No, I say no, sir. I say no. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So
as George Bush said it. All right, fool me once, now gonna fool me again. That's my favorite. That's a real.
No, I remember that. Feral. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
Shame on.
You're not gonna fool me twice again. You're not gonna fool me again. Yeah.
So I think it's hard. I think it's hard, Kyle Pitts, honestly, because we all know how talented he was in college, and we all know that he's got this great athletic ability. But we also all know that he is disappointed for every year that he's played in the NFL. And that's not, I think it's 5 of them now. It's been a long time.
Well, it sounds like you agree with me then. It sounds like you agree with me that you just leave him sitting there until he does more.
It's like a banana peel for someone else to slip on. You just throw it out, leave it out there, and let someone else take that ball.
Yeah, but unfortunately, though, Atlanta has a pretty fun matchup this week.
I'm glad to hear you say it. I'm glad to hear you say it because I was looking at him,
I know. Listen, I get it. Don't do it. I mean, you can, but just put him on your bench and see what happens. All right, we got to move on. Let's move on to This Is the Week, our bold predictions And I'm going to start out with one that maybe doesn't feel so bold, but I feel like it is, because this is the week. I nailed it last week, and I'm rolling with it again. The Jags get win number 2 against the Bears because they're in London. If you've noticed anything about the London games, the Jacksonville Jaguars have been there more than any other team in the league, and it's like a home game for them and a real far away game for the other team. There's the Jacksonville Jaguars know how to manage it, how to handle it, how to prepare for it. They do it right, and they come out there and they get wins in London, lock it up. This is the week they get win number 2.
I like it. I like that. I think you're right. And it's something that people should take into consideration, the London situation. They were the first team to play in London.
Yeah.
And
they play over them more than anybody else.
Correct. It was always the Jags.
Always the Jags.
They became
sort of like London's basically home team. When you watch it, you'll see there's a bunch of jerseys in the audience, and those are locals. Those are Londoners. Those are not people that came from Jacksonville, especially with what Jacksonville's going through right now. I don't think a lot of some of them, if they're smart, they left and were like, "We're going to the game." Yeah. So, hope so. Listen, God bless. No, I'm just saying. I hope they did.
Okay, well, this is the week. This is the week. Bijan Robinson breaks out. This is it. We're doing it. This is the breakout game for Bijan. He's doing it. I'm going to speak this into existence, making it happen. Bijan is going to bust out this week. He's going to prove us all wrong about, what do we do? What should we do? What you do is you watch him run, and he's going to kill it. He's going to catch. He's going to have 5 receptions, right?
Sure,
easily. 5 receptions.
Yeah.
All right, and he's gonna kill it. He's gonna have over 100 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. You'll see.
Okay. Well, this is gonna make it sound like we shared notes, but this is the week that Breece Hall goes off.
Yeah, let's go. Speak it into existence, baby.
It truly, no, and this is why every time this happens, when the coach gets changed or something happens, there's that 1 week pop. We just saw it in Carolina with Dalton. We saw it before. Remember the Colts? They brought in Jeff Saturday as the fucking coach, and then somehow they won, and everyone's like, "Is he a savant?" And then they the rest of the way. Yeah. That's exactly what we see on Monday night. We see that spark of life of the Jets before they go into total trash can. And I believe it goes through Breece Hall. That's the difference. And I think if Breece Hall goes off, this is the week.
You know what? This is also the week that Jahmyr Gibbs takes over. I mean,
it's been
a lot of Montgomery. It's been a lot of Montgomery, and he's done great. But this is the week, and I hate to do it against my beloved Cowboys, but this is the week that Jahmyr Gibbs takes over. And you'll see, I'm going to say 60-40 this week, and I think it's going to remain higher on the Gibbs side moving forward.
So I'm just going to push back a little bit on this, just because I see it differently, because I think they're using the exact same blueprint that we saw last week, which is to kind of really utilize Montgomery during the regular season. I think we're way too far from the postseason for them to make that transition. I think they will wait at least until week 12, 13 before they start making it more the Gibbs show, because it keeps him fresher for the playoffs, and I think that's when they really want him. But he's younger. He's a younger kid. He can handle it. Montgomery is not. I mean, there's an argument. Montgomery hasn't done anything to really lose snaps. He looks great. He's running effectively. Okay. Bold prediction. You might be right.
Bold prediction.
Yeah, bold prediction.
You got another one?
Yeah, I got two more.
Let's hear it. What you got?
This is the week, and this one hurts me so much to say out loud. Because, of course, I traded him away. Of course. But this is the week that Terry McLaurin finishes at wide receiver 1.
Oh, wow. Against Baltimore?
Yeah, well, they're weak against the pass. That's what's going to be open. Wow. That's what's going to work for them.
Dang. Well, Okay, that
I think McLaurin
I'd
is
love to see
what
it.
I'm just, and I would hate to see it. I hope he gets injured, but I do believe, and I'm playing against him in one of my leagues too. But the way I'm reading the T, yeah, McLaurin, wide receiver, at least top 5. But I'm going to go my bold prediction number 1.
Humble brag on myself. Okay, I did go grab Terry McLaurin off the wire when Hogs dropped him after week 2. So although lost Nico Collins, have Terry McLaurin, and I also have Amari Cooper, who I think will be traded pretty soon to a team where he's going to really be relevant.
Let's hope.
I've got one more.
I got him in one league too. Go ahead.
I got one more. This is the week, and again, I want this. I'm more. This is my hope. Is what I should. This is what I should call it. But this is the week that Tank Dell breaks out, and I'll tell you why. It's not just because Nico Collins is out, which of course is a huge factor, but I think Stephon Diggs is going to get stuffed because it's going to be Christian Gonzalez. He's been taking everyone out.
Lights out.
He's been taking everybody out. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your name is. And it doesn't matter who's throwing you the ball. Christian Gonzalez is amazing. And I think that he's going to be looking at Stephon Diggs. So it's either going to be him or maybe Dalton Schultz. But I'm hoping that it's Tank Dell.
I have one more. Here we go. This is the week that Baker Mayfield finishes as QB1.
Whoa, spicy.
Yeah. And I know you got a tough defense over there in New Orleans, but I think he's going to have more opportunity than anybody else this week because of Rattler, because they're going to have very short drives. It's going to be 3 and out a lot of times, which is just going to put more opportunity, more cards to play on the Buccaneers side of the field. And I think eventually that Saints defense gets tired and he just lights them up. And so I think this is if it had been Derek Carr, much worse scenario. But if you're going with Rattler and occasional Taysom Hill mix in, I think that this is
but doesn't that go against your idea here? Is that won't they just run it if the defense is doing a bunch of work?
No, the defense is. I mean, it'll still be tough to run on them. I mean, there's still the New Orleans defense. I just think they're going to get tired. I just think, and I think it's and listen, and they don't rely on the run game in Tampa Bay. They rely on the pass game. You get tired, and Baker's going to pick you apart. That's what I'm counting on. QB1 again, at least top 5, but bold prediction: QB1 Baker Mayfield.
That would have been a great one.
It was Cousins last week. Anything can happen.
504 yards.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know who it is that's going to have that week. And the way I see it, I think it absolutely could be our guy, Baker Mayfield. Baker, let him bake. Remember, let him cook. It's time to let him bake.
If Baker does it, I would be surprised.
Oh, really? Well, listen. Don't be surprised if the Jets beat the Bills.
Oh my God, that's the first one I've got.
Is it really?
I swear on my life, I would show you the paper. I don't think you can read my writing, but I swear to God, it's the first. If the Jets beat the Bills, anyway, you tell me. I think it's exactly what you said about
the pop.
Salah's gone and the bump,
the 1 week bump every time.
Oh my God.
You can count on it.
Wow.
I put a little money on them.
I think I will now too. If we both are saying that, I can't believe it. I thought it was going to be I thought I was going to shock you with it.
No, that was it. That was mine.
Well done.
All right, you're up.
Don't be surprised. I mean, don't be surprised if the Patriots.
You really
Houston.
like what? Oh boy! Oh.
Okay, let me explain a little bit. CJ plays much better at home, and the Pats D is solid.
This is very true.
If he's got no Nico Collins, that's his security blanket. He barely uses his tight end. He's going to have to get something going with Schultz.
Yep.
I wouldn't be. Just don't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just don't be surprised if it does.
Okay.
Don't be surprised if Tucker Kraft is the tight end number 1.
Okay. All right. Listen,
I believe he was last week, and I believe he'll do it again.
We called him called him a flyer last week, and boy, he delivered. So he was in our
He's playing
flyers.
the Cardinals. He's playing the Cardinals, and the Cardinals defense is bad, and it's super bad against tight ends, and it has been historically for like the last 3 years. Go look it up. It's terrible. They're terrible against tight ends. So I say, and if Tucker Kraft is on the rise, and he seems to be connecting pretty good with Jordan Love, I don't be surprised if he's the tight end number 1.
Well, don't be surprised if the Giants beat the Bengals. I think, the Bengals, I know, and I've spent the last couple of weeks going, this is the week of the Bengals. Well, you know what? The Giants showed up, and that defense is real good. And Mike Daboll he's calling a hell of a game. It's a Brian Daboll. He's really the secret in the sauce right now for the Giants. He's figuring out what everybody does right. He's calling the right plays at the right time. They fucking stymied the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle.
I know, that was surprising. That was very surprising.
They held Kenneth Walker to 19 yards on the ground.
Wow.
Okay. Now, he did manage to catch like 6 outlet passes, and that kind of saved the day. But even then, I think he finished it's fantasy day. I think he still only finished like 8 or 9 points. Like,
it's not a save. That's not good enough versus the Giants with Kenneth Walker. That's just
totally. You started him with confidence against the Giants, and they shut him down. This Giants defense, this team is warming up in a scary way for us Dallas Cowboys fans. And it should be scary for the Redskins too. I mean, we're already worried about the
Redskins, bro.
Oh my God! And same thing about the Commanders fans, because we should not, whatever they are, football team. We know that they've gotten hot, but this Giants team is heating up now, and Dallas is heating up now. I mean, this whole division, which looked like trash in the first 2 weeks, is doing that thing where they're starting to go from the least of the East to the beast of the East.
Yeah, from NFL, what is it? We're the NFC least to NFC beast. That's what they would call us, the NFC East, the NFC least.
That's I just said that.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Wow. Well, I will be surprised. I am going to be surprised. I'm going to try not to be, because you've got me prepared. I'm certainly now, I won't be as surprised, but I still think I will be surprised. After the way the Bengals lost versus the Ravens with that missed field goal, they really came back.
And I had called it. I bet on it. I was like, Bengals. Remember, I was like, don't be surprised if the Bengals. I even said, this is the week the Bengals, don't be surprised if the Bengals beat the Ravens. They play them really hard, and it all came true down to the wire.
Yeah, McPherson.
Yeah, well, it wasn't his fault. The guy, the ball.
No, I did. You're right. You're absolutely right. I should not blame him. It was holder.
A bad snap. It was a bad snap.
Or the snap. Yeah,
that's all it was. Just a bad snap. All right. Any more of those?
I'm done. I'm already surprised, so I can't. I don't know. That one.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. All right, now must starts. Let's jump right into that. Now I have 2 blanket must starts. Okay, and I'll just name them both right together. Everyone in the Dallas versus Detroit game on offense. Love it. Everyone in the Green Bay versus Arizona game offense. Those 2 games, I think, are just go bananas, points, fiestas. You can start pretty much everyone that would be considered fantasy relevant to begin with.
Well, let me just say that I break mine down into quarterback.
Right, and I have some of that too.
My 2 quarterback must starts are Jordan Love and Jared Goff.
Right, there you go.
The 2 guys you just said. So I mean, I agree. I cannot agree with you more. They're going to be point fests. I think the over/under on the Dallas game is like 51. It's going to be fun.
You're right. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And if we're going to do the quarterbacks my individual must starts are Baker versus the Saints, again, because of the opportunity increase, and Cousins versus the Panthers. I normally would expect Cousins to float back down to earth, but this matchup is too juicy. I think Cousins has another, I think he gets another one. I think it's another great, and then he'll float down to earth. But I think he gets a second. I think he gets another nice slice of pie.
I don't know, man. He's never floated down to earth. Cousins. He's
financially, he always floats down to earth.
He's always been very good, better than anyone gives him credit for.
So he's a young Flacco. Okay.
Hey, man, Flacco won a Super Bowl, and I'll take him over half these clowns that are playing right now.
I'm with you. Listen, fire up,
So for wide receivers, I've got three. I got Tank Dell, Amari Cooper, and Ray McCloud.
Oh,
must start Ray McCloud.
You don't feel like that might be a sleeper flyer situation?
I feel pretty confident. I might be a sleeper flyer, but I feel
it's a sleeper flyer. I mean, because Darnell Mooney is a must start.
Yeah, well,
Drake London is a must start.
Yeah,
Ray is a flyer. Come on,
Ray. Okay, we'll put him in the flyers. Okay,
and I get it. I made that mistake many times myself.
Amari Cooper's playing against Philly, and I know that his quarterback is terrible. But the one guy that can be good is him, and
they're gonna have to throw the ball.
Right. So
that whole second half, they're gonna have to sling it. So
I believe, and we've seen that Jerry Jeudy was just sort of like a passing fad, that's not happening. Most people, he's been dropped by.
He's on everybody's waiver wires,
So I feel like Amari Cooper and then Tank Dell, of course, like I said,
obviously
he's going to have Gonzalez,
like
and so those are my must-start wide receivers.
My must-start, one of these versus Dobbs for Green Bay versus Arizona, and I say that it's sort of like your Ray minus Dobbs,
little flyer,
But no. The reason he's a must-start is this. Mine is a little more specific. Okay. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Okay. He fucking stormed off like, no, you guys don't respect me. All you want to do is get that. You don't remember that I can do this too. He stormed off. Then he got to come back and sit down with the coaches and have all his little meetings and tell them I deserve a shot too. Well, guess what happens just this week? Just this week. I cannot guarantee it any other week going forward. But much like the Jets bump, you're going to see the squeaky wheel get the grease down there in Arizona, and you must start Dobbs.
All right. Wow. I'm going to put him in a DFS lineup. You just sold me on that. You just sold me on that.
And then my other one is Mooney, the Mooney in Carolina versus Carolina. I think is a must start too. Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. I think, it's almost like start all your Falcons against Carolina right now. They kind of come back down to earth. I think, like you said, didn't they put Bryce Young back in for a minute, or
they did?
No, they did. See, that's never good. That's not a good sign. So,
not a good sign.
Yeah. What about running back? I got a couple. I already told you Najee Harris.
Well, I guess everyone in Dallas, everyone in Green Bay. So the Detroit running backs, the Dallas running backs, Green Bay running backs, Arizona running backs. Run all those, those are my must starts for running backs.
Gotcha. So you're saying Connor, Dowdle, and
Josh Jacobs, and
for sure. That's one that is an absolute must start.
That's what I'm saying. So
I should have
guys,
him on here.
Connor, Josh Jacobs, Dowdle, and the both Montgomery, they're all must starts in those games in terms of running backs.
I've got one that I try not to pick, people like Jacobs, like people are going to start them anyway.
The big name stuff, like you're not going to put Derrick Henry on this list. Everybody's starting Derrick Henry.
Right, exactly. He's a must start clearly. Yeah. I mean, it's stupid. It's Saquon Barkley. But I got a good one, I think, here. I was looking at it, and I'm going to put him in some DFS lineups as well. Tony Pollard. I think he's a must start because he's playing against the Colts, who are kind of falling apart. They don't really have an identity right now. They're
absolutely not
trying to figure out what's going on. Their defense was solid for like a game or two, and then it
kind of fell apart.
I don't know what happened to it.
100%.
So I really like the idea of Pollard because, especially, look, man, you gotta help Levis out. He needs help. He can't throw it so good. He can't throw so good. He needs.
Listen, he can rocket it. He just can't control where the rocket goes.
Exactly. Like Anthony Richardson and Josh Allen at the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
Just rocket arm, zero clue where it's going to go. Throw it in that direction and hope that it
hope for the best. Yeah, hope he's there.
So yeah, I think Tony's going to have a good game. If he should,
I am actually starting Tony over J.K. Dobbins. So,
I would do that absolutely. Great. That's a great move.
Yeah,
it's a great move.
Any others for you? Running backs?
What about no more running backs? What about tight ends? I've got
ends.
2 of those.
Okay, I have 3. I'll start with Taysom Hill versus the Bucks, because this Rattler situation, I think they're going to turn to Taysom, not for the entire game, but I think a lot, especially in goal line situations, which is where you want him to be. Yep. I think if he plays, he's still questionable with the rib injury, but I think if he plays, he's a must start. And I've hesitated to pick him up off the wire because, unless I know he's going to play, I don't want to drop somebody and then another guy is out, then I can't get him back. So it's like, but if he plays, if you find out he is playing, then I think you grab him, or DFS, you play Taysom Hill.
I love it. I mean, I'm a little nervous because it is ribs, and like it's easy to re-injure those. Like you can take one pop, and it's like
that's what it's like. I'm not even sure. Yeah.
Who else you got on tight ends there?
I have 2 more. Evan Ingram, which I described, earlier. So we know that. They're in London, which is great for only Jacksonville. And Ertz versus the Ravens. He wasn't involved much last week, but we know you can throw to the tight end against the Ravens.
Ertz had 8 targets last week. That is a lot, dude. That's wide receiver targets. He just, for some reason, they're just not, it's not quite there yet, but
and the thing is, when you say targets, I mean, he threw the ball in his direction.
They weren't great.
That was a good 3 of those were just him, and he was the target, but he was throwing the ball out of bounds.
That's fair. So if that improves a little bit.
But this week, I love it for him. Smash start, Ertz.
I got 2. I'm going with Tucker Kraft, as I said. Should we?
Okay, sure. Must start. Absolutely.
So we've already discussed him. So let's move on to my last one. Is one of my favorite names, Freiermuth. One of my favorite shots.
There you go.
The Freiermuth. We made it.
Yeah, fireball and vermouth.
And vermouth chilled. It's got to be chilled. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I know. We drank like
sweet vermouth. Sweet vermouth. But yeah, you know what? Freiermuth has really been pretty consistent, and that little shovel pass that he did against Dallas to get the top, like on the 2, they did that thing like that Mahomes does with Kelsey, that whoopsie doozy, at the goal line, and he got it. And I just feel like they're getting him more and more involved. He's pretty strong. He's a crowd favorite. They paid him a bunch of money. I think he's going to be a must start. I think he's going to do great. He's playing against Vegas, for God's sake.
Yeah.
As long as Max Crosby gives Fields a couple of seconds, I'd say fire up the Muth.
There you go.
Fire up the Muth.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Ice some vermouth and fireball and fire it up. All right. And for me, I have a couple defenses really quickly, and then we got to keep going. Falcons, Bucks, and Texans. I mean, obviously because the matchups, but when you talk about the Bucks and the Texans, you're talking about going up against rookies playing in their first game ever. I fucking love it. Oh, and the Falcons too. So all 3 of them have tremendous matchups. And
so
I think
I also have the Texans, but I have 2 others. I got Philly versus Cleveland, and I've got
because they just suck.
The Steelers versus Vegas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Steelers is absolutely.
You're going to start anyway.
Yeah.
But,
without question.
Let's
move on to the sits.
Yes, let's
Who
do it.
My first must sit is all Saints wide receivers. You don't know where Rattler's going to put that ball. You don't know who he's going to throw it to. And rookies tend to throw to rookies or third stringers, which are who they're used to working out with,
Yeah, right.
So, Olave, Rashid Shaheed, any of these guys, you got to sit them. They're not going to do shit this week. They're a waste of space on your roster.
Ooh, wow. Okay. So I've got a couple of quarterbacks that I want to sit, and that's you must sit. I hate to say it, but Justin Herbert versus Denver. That Denver defense is no joke, dude. And Herbert's a little banged up, and they've got it. They're doing okay. It's not like he's terrible, but I think this week it's gonna be
a low scoring game anyway. You slice it. It's gonna be one of those 13-10, 12-9 situations. There's not going to be a lot of offense in that game. You're right.
Yeah, in fact, you know what? Let's just stick with that only quarter. That's the only quarterback I'll say.
Okay. The one I think running backs, I think you have to sit Rachaad White versus the Saints. I think just because he's losing snap share, number one, and two, the Saints are still a very good defense. But Bucky Irving still hasn't gotten enough.
He fumbled. And
Exactly.
Set him back. But
exactly. So it's like that's what I don't trust either of them, but I would sit Rachaad White.
Yes.
And then the other one is Cam Akers versus the Pats.
They took mine.
Okay,
Cam
sorry.
Akers.
No,
don't be sorry. That means we're right on target here.
Yeah, because he's not good. He's just not good.
He's not good.
Pats are a good defense, but no Cam Akers.
I've got another running back to sit, and it may seem weird because he's done well, but I think you must sit Chuba Hubbard this week against the Falcons, as you said. The defense is, and I think that whole team is really going to struggle, including Chuba, and I don't know if they're going to get it to him enough.
1,000%. Falcons have that great defense that it's up and coming for sure. They have Matthew Judon. I mean, that's a huge piece.
Yeah.
Other running backs that I'm sitting, and these are the two committees. They're two-man backs. The Bengals versus RBs versus the Giants, both of them. Even though it's going to be probably just Chase Brown, he's probably going to shoulder the load. So I mean, like opportunity-wise, he would be the choice. But again, the Giants just shut down Kenneth Walker, who's better than both of those motherfuckers put together. So I'm not a huge fan. And then the Chargers running backs. We just talked about J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, put them together against Denver. Don't like either one. Must sit both those sets of running backs.
Yeah, my other one was Cam Akers as well. So as far as running backs, I think we've hit it. As wide receivers go, he's a big name, and you might feel obligated to start him because he had a couple of good games there with Dalton. But Deontay Johnson, I think you got to sit.
I am sitting.
It's not great.
If you have a better option, that's not a good matchup for him.
Him and Calvin Ridley. I don't know if you're starting him anyway, but I'd sit both these guys.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley's definitely in a prove it moment right now. They're coming out of the bye week. He had that one great game, and then he's had 3 shit games. So, okay, guys, did you figure it out or not? I mean, you have 2 good wide receivers. Get it to one of them,
and they've got it to one of them in one game. Hopkins had a great game, that one game, and then Ridley had one great game.
Yeah.
But then they just disappeared. So, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I've got a tight end that you must sit that I think that people will say, why, but Dallas Goedert is a must sit. They're playing Cleveland. Cleveland's defense is actually still decent. They're pretty good against the tight ends. And A.J. Brown is coming back, and probably Devonta Smith will also be back. I mean, he had that one huge game, but everybody was out. Saquon's there. I mean, I just don't see Goddard having much of a ton of targets. I don't see it. I think he's a must sit. I wouldn't fall for
it. Okay. I would think he'd be a little more on the scary, be wary side. I wouldn't say he's a must sit because I could see that still being true, but I get your point. You're making a good point.
Right on.
Anything else on the must sits?
We got any defenses?
No. I mean, not that aren't obvious.
I put must sit Dallas versus Detroit.
again, I think that's fairly
and then
obvious.
It's obvious. And then you must sit the Browns. Even though they got a good defense, you must sit them because they're playing Philly with all those guys.
No,
back.
absolutely.
All those guys
exactly.
Back, so.
And they're coming off a bye week. They're all going to be rested. Saquon's going to be, of course. Yes.
Yeah. And
totally
that's
agree.
it. That's
totally
it.
agree. All right, moving on to Scary Be Wary. And again, I've picked on this game quite a bit because it is so surprising to me. But Scary, I know you're going to start him, especially after this week. I'm just saying, Scary Be Wary, Joe Burrow versus the Giants.
I mean, it's hard to feel that way after the performance he put up against Baltimore.
Again, that's why it's a hard. Scary Be Wary. If you've been alternating guys, listen, look at how many great games he's had versus shit games, and you tell me if he doesn't deserve to be on the Scary Be Wary list. One great game does not a whole run make. So
fair enough. Well, I've got one that you sort of brought up earlier. I don't know if it's going to make it to the broadcast, what you brought up, but beware Jaden Daniels versus Baltimore.
Yeah.
The kid.
Really, we haven't even talked about him.
He's a kid. Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, for the first time, let's discuss Jaden Daniels. Beware of this game. I think that Baltimore, that their defense is great. They love to chew and spit out rookies, chew them up and spit them out.
Totally agree. And I don't think he's seen anything like this yet.
I know he hasn't seen anything like this yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would beware. He's been such a phenom. He's been amazing. It's one of the greatest starts to any career of a quarterback I've ever seen in my lifetime. Yeah. Personally. But I would beware of him. Do you have any other quarterbacks?
Well, I'm actually actively starting Jordan Love over him in one of my leagues.
I don't blame you. He's my must start.
No, I have a few more. And again, going back to these committees, much like in the must-sit situation, Scary Be Wary, Tank Etienne versus the Bears, and Pollard Spears versus the Colts. And this is really just about timeshare, and
really?
opportunity. Yeah, again, Scary Be Wary. I'm not saying don't start them. You're probably going to start them, but just because of the timeshare, because Spears is starting to, he was starting to chew into Pollard's space a little bit before the bye. So just Scary Be Wary on both those sets of running backs.
Well, I do have one more quarterback to Scary Be Wary, and that's CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, you're playing against the Patriots. Just beware, be afraid. They're good, and you don't have Nico, and you're not playing at home. You're not good when you don't play at home, and you're not as good.
You're outdoors.
You look like a different guy,
and it's probably going to be a little overcast and rainy. So
beware. That's all. Just be afraid. And then for running backs, these are going to make people mad. I'm going to say beware of Saquon Barkley just because I drafted him first. It seems like it might be his time.
So are you predicting an injury too?
I'm saying not. I'm just saying beware.
Are you also predicting an injury, which we said we weren't gonna do?
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying beware because I drafted him first, and it seems like maybe it's his turn. And then Alvin Kamara, beware. He's played great. He got shut down last week. It's a copycat league. There's a blueprint out there. He is getting up there in age. I mean, 29, whatever. But for a running back, pretty old. And or 28, whatever. He's got a lot of tread on those tires, or however you say that. And I think he might get shut down. There might be a possible blueprint. And Rico Dowdle, I'd beware. He had a good game, but like you said, one good game does not a season make. And you might feel excited,
Yeah, like, ooh, I'm starting Dowdle. Yeah. No, you got to look at the matchup on that. And, back to your point about who was, you were just on it. Shit. Who, right before that one?
Alvin Kamara?
Yes, back to Kamara. Again, Rattler starting. Who do you think they're going to shut down and try and force him to throw?
That's a good point. They're
going to stack the box and be like, sure, kid, throw it.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. We're just going to, so he's going to throw 4 picks.
Right.
And then it'll be the Taysom Hill show.
Oh, wow.
I would say scary, be wary, Zay Flowers versus Washington. And I'll tell you why I say this. I've been with Zay. I've been with Zay the whole ride. I drafted him his rookie year. I've drafted him his second year. This is his third year. I'm on the ride with Zay Flowers. I believe. But if it's one thing I know about Zay Flowers is he cannot put together two good games in a row. He can't fucking do it. Okay, so look at the track record. He did the cardiac arrest. That, I mean, just up and down and this and that way. I do scare. I know you're going to start him because he had a great game finally, which is and I'm going to do
and
it.
It's a good matchup. It's a good matchup.
I know, and I'm going to start him too. Scary, be wary. If it's one thing I know about this fool, he can't put together two good games. Well, and my other one my other receiver is Garrett Wilson versus Buffalo. Just because I think they might change up to a Breece Hall night, and it won't be a ton on Rodgers' shoulders, and they'll be like, "See, he was the one forcing us to throw all the time." So,
well, I'd beware of Diggs because of Gonzalez, like I said, and Deontay Johnson in Atlanta, and I would beware of Rashid Shaheed this week. I think you're always a little be wary of him because he's so boom bust, but he got a little banged up, and I don't know, Tampa Bay.
The Rattler situation too. Again, that kind of spoils everything.
True that.
All right.
Those are my scary be waries.
Let's move on to sleepers and flyers. This is the stuff. Listen, for me, it starts again. Strange, if he plays, if he's the one that ends up playing, play him. Jacksonville, London, 2 touchdowns, 2 weeks. Roll with it, dog. Keep rolling with Strange. Who doesn't like a nice piece of Strange?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Maybe they should just sit Ingram for the rest of the season.
No, if this was
Strange, Davey. Let's keep it Strange. Keep Strange. Hey, I was drafted Strange. Anyway, I got a couple of quarterback flyers for you.
Okay, I got one too.
We talked about Flacco. I think he's a flyer, and this one's again, it's a flyer. It's just I'm saying, give it a shot, and maybe Will Levis, versus the Colts. Maybe I'm saying maybe. Maybe.
Well, it's true. It's after a bye week. He was benched a little bit. Usually that gets the juices flowing again. Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe
he could be a sleeper. He could be a sleeper, absolutely. I think you could take a flyer on Justin Fields versus Las Vegas. And I'll tell you, he hears footsteps. He underperformed against Dallas. I think he regrets not running the ball. And I think this time, when the pocket breaks down, he's taken off.
Yeah, I don't know if that's such a sleeper or a flyer. I mean, that's a great matchup. I mean, he had a great matchup last week and underperformed.
Right. That's why he's not on the must-start list. If he'd done what he should have done, which I was predicting at least 2 40-plus yard runs.
Same.
He didn't run at all.
No.
He just kept looking down the field. I think, and then now everyone's, Wilson's right there. Wilson's warming up the shoulder. Listen, he knows, he hears those footsteps. And I think this week he pulls out all the stops. Damn the torpedoes. He's going to try and win that fucking game. I like Fields in a flyer.
Right on. How about some, I've got a great wide receiver. I mean, these are flyers. I've got a good one.
They're flyers, here. Sleepers, flyers.
How about Jalen Polk? Can I interest you in any Jalen Polk?
I can tell you, remember I said earlier about how rookies like to throw to rookies?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're going to see that 1,000%. Jalen Polk will be the #1 receiver this week on the Patriots.
Yes, obviously.
Over Demario Douglas, over Hunter Henry, over any other.
Tyquan Thornton.
I think you're right. This week will absolutely great DFS play, Jalen Polk.
Yes.
I like him a lot. Can I interest you? I have Dobbs in mine too.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Can I interest you in a Ladd McConkey?
You could always interest me in a Ladd McConkey.
I like me Ladd McConkey.
Oh, makes me want to drink.
Oh, the
That
lad
fight makes me want to fight someone and drink.
Throw a few back. Throw a few punches.
Yeah.
Lad McConkey versus Denver. I just think at some point they'll have to throw the ball. And Lad McConkey seems to be the emerging guy. I like him.
That's a good flyer.
Yeah.
I got. How about take a flyer on Jameson Williams?
Oh, okay.
You know, why not? You know,
yeah, is he really still a flyer? I mean,
he had one decent game.
Okay. Okay.
He had one good game, I should say, and then one decent game. I think that people are not. He's probably on everybody's wire. You know, if he's on the wire, then
he's not on anybody's wire.
Oh, I wish my computer.
He's on a lot of benches, but he's definitely not on anybody's wire.
All right.
Can I interest you in the running back Tracy for the Giants versus Cincinnati?
Yes, sir.
I even if Singletary plays, I think he's taking a backseat to this kid at this point. Now, you know, these rooks tend to come out and do that because they've been untouched, so they kind of have these amazing games, and then after they get beat up for a real NFL week, there kind of usually is a second game slowdown. But I liked what I saw out of this kid. Tyrone Tracy. I think versus Cincinnati, solid matchup. I like it.
I do too. I've got some great deep freaking sleepers here. Three running backs. How about some Dare Agumbawale?
Sure.
You want some of that? You want some Dare Agumbawale?
I'll take it. I got a slice. I got a slice on one of my teams.
We don't want Cam.
No.
How about Jeremy McNichols? Can I get you? How about some Jeremy McNichols?
Spicy.
You know, Brian is hurt, and Austin is hurt, and maybe it's Jeremy McNichols' time. He's shown he's been really explosive when he gets his chances. I like it. And then the third and final, and this one is super deep. And this is what I said earlier: is how about Tyler Goodson? Who is Tyler Goodson? What team is Tyler Goodson on?
The Colts.
He is correct. He is the one that made Trey Sermon look bad. I was like, oh, well, this guy is clearly better than Trey Sermon. And, you know,
I think Trey Sermon just has more power. I think he's just a more durable. I think they just like him in the short yardage situations better.
Yeah, it's a flyer. It's definitely a flyer.
I like Goodson. A flyer for me is Algiers, because again, it's versus Carolina. It's a great matchup for them. I think they get up on them pretty good, real fast, and then you start seeing more of some Algiers there in the second.
So more than one Algier, we're getting Algiers,
or however many there are.
Just take the one. Take the one Algier.
Okay, one Algier.
One Algier. Tyler will be good. I mean, I still think it's going to be the Bijan Robinson show, but you know,
I do too. But at a certain point, that they will always, if they're up, they'll put in Algier. And let me interest you on a guy. Most of you, he is mostly rostered, but widely ignored. But I think he's in line for a good show this week, and that's Javonte Williams.
Yeah. Oh, love it. That's a good one. It's somebody that I forgot about for a second.
Everybody's forgotten about him. Everybody was interested in McLaughlin and and then Tyler Batty, who I really loved. But now it seems to be the Javonte Williams show again, and nobody's using him. And I think he's in line for a good week versus the Chargers.
Absolutely.
Who are missing their Bosa brother. He's out again. So that just, Khalil Mack, I think, is also out. So I think you're looking at a Chargers defense that is exploitable by Sir Javonte.
I like that a lot. How about tight ends? You got any of those?
Tight ends, just Strange. Strange was my one tight end.
All right. I've got two. One of them you've heard of. The other one is awesome. Okay. So Juwan Johnson from the Saints.
Sure.
Right. He's a big dude. Like, I didn't realize how big he was. He's like, reminds me of James Cook, like he's just built like a brick shithouse. And he finds his way to be open in the, those little short passes. And if it's Rattler, they tend to look at the tight ends a little more as a big target. Yeah. So it's a flyer. Take a flyer on him. But
I see that. Yep.
Here's a real flyer for you. This is a true flyer. How can I interest you in a little Charlie Kolar. Little Charlie Kolar.
Okay. All right. Spicy.
Hey, Andrews ain't doing anything. Kolar had 2 touchdowns last week, I think, right? Likely had 1. Kolar had 2. Andrews had nothing. So, I mean, look, maybe Kolar is the new Andrews. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
now, you dropped Andrews, right?
Oh, yeah.
I bet
you
should. No, you should feel good about it.
I do. I feel I've got.
You should feel totally fine about that. Every week he proves you right.
Yeah, I needed space in, for my injured players.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
No, those are
those are my
two. And then I guess for defenses, I do have a couple flyers. You could take the Pats versus Houston. Remember, because people think, oh, it's a high flyer. Right, but I still think it's a flyer because
it's definitely a flyer at best.
Right, so I'd take the Pats, and how about the Titans, versus the Colts, because I don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
No, I like that too.
So that's
all right, and let's close out with a little gambling talk. Locks of the week, and I only got one, and it's the Buccaneers -3 versus New Orleans.
Well, that's it. That's our lock of the week because I have the same one.
Yeah, with Rattler in there, fuck them. Yeah,
Tampa Bay minus. It's Tampa Bay -3.
Yep, that's the one. Now I do have 2 dice rolls.
Okay,
which I know we didn't talk about, but because I couldn't call them locks, but I do feel real good about them, and that's Jacksonville +2 and the Jets +2.5.
2.5. That's all they're getting
right now. Yeah.
Oh, that seems like they should be getting more. Although I guess the Bills haven't.
Well, if you think honestly, I think they're going to win money line, but I'll take the 2.5 just to be on the side of caution.
You'll roll the dice. You'll roll the dice.
Exactly. I'm rolling the dice. I'm not throwing a Hail Mary.
I'll roll the dice on the Falcons -6.
Ooh.
Over the Panthers.
Well, yeah,
Falcons -6.
No, you're right. Yeah. I noted that one too. I like that one a lot too. But after I took -6 on Seattle, I'm like, fuck that fucking -6.
That's it. I'll roll the dice with the Falcons, and Tampa Bay -3 is my lock as well. So
there you go.
We both have that. That it's lock it in, guys. Lock it in.
Lock it in. Good stuff. Great episode. Have a great week 6, everybody. Mine can't be worse than last week, where I went 1-5 in my leagues, but the one was my undefeated championship team.
Stay healthy, Saquon. Come on. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Exactly. Avoid the curse of the Berman. All right. You guys, let's go.